All right, the July 15th Middleton Tourism Commission meeting has been called to order with the first item on the agenda being the approval of the minutes from the June 17th meeting.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They're approved. Hotel updates. I guess I can kick this one off. I don't know if you received any information or letter that affected your hotels recently, Todd, but the Honduran and Venezuelan, and I believe it was Nicaraguan people that had visas in our country, they just revoked them all last Friday.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
No one has said anything about receiving that in the mail, but
Okay, it went to our corporate office and then they filtered it down to the properties, but we lost people at every single one of our hotels. For us, unfortunately, it was 80% of our housekeeping department.
No way.
So, yeah, and I mean, these people are here legitimately, legally, did it all the right way, you know, so. That's pretty scary for me, and that's more of just a personal thing at my hotel, but, you know, as an overall update, I guess, you know.
The
we're
8% at our Marriott or
Yeah.
all
At
Marriott?
my Marriott.
Oh my gosh.
And unfortunately, temp agencies don't have anybody either, you know, so I don't know what we're gonna do, I'm sure it'll entail me putting on tennis shoes and stripping rooms and making beds, but yeah, that's pretty scary going into busy season. Other than that, our entire company portfolio just revised forecast through year end. Demand is down across the country. We're now projected to miss budget as a company by roughly $20 million. We were, prior to that, about 2 months ago, expected to essentially make budget. So we just pulled 20 million currently, and that's going to be a moving target now. We have laid off some people about 2 weeks ago because of it. Nobody at my actual property, but some properties did lose people, surprisingly enough. You know, you would think with how much corporate infrastructure we've got, you could have cut them all from non-money making positions, if you ask me, but you know, some properties lost some people, salespeople, things of that nature, so things are not looking great right now. And that just makes it all that much more important that we focus on group, you know, because group is where it's gonna be at. Transient leisure, it's just down. Business has already been down, but transient leisure is not doing it. So, pretty sad.
You said it was Honduran, Venezuelan?
I believe it was Honduran, Venezuelan, and Nicaraguan, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know things don't trickle down from my corporate office very timely
Yeah.
if it gets sent there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I'll be on the lookout for it, see
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, coming out of the pandemic, there was no service staff, there was no housekeeping staff. I know the Monona Terrace was chartering buses down to Chicago to pick people up and come up here to serve a function and then shuffling them back down to Chicago. I don't know that that's where we're gonna be at, but at some point the rubber's gonna hit the road, you know, we have 6 of our own housekeepers that we supplement with other temps. So we lost 5 out of our 6. And these are the people that were fastest at cleaning rooms, they had lowest, you know, minutes per occupied room or per dirty room, you know, all of that stuff, so. That's not to say we don't have other housekeepers, they're just not adept at cleaning rooms, you know, they're
Sure.
people that are more for cleaning public areas or.
Yeah.
You know, their skill set is different, so. Yeah,
They don't have a routine of turnover
yeah,
yet.
yeah. So. Not great updates, unfortunately for me. You know, future booking pace is just fine as far as group goes. But we're also seeing that in the year, for the year, as we call it, bookings have decreased dramatically in Q2. Coming into Q3, so that's where a lot of that $20 million miss to our budget's coming from, because we're not layering new business onto the books during this calendar year like we normally would. So that's obviously concerning. That's my update. Sorry to be the bummer, but Todd, hopefully you got better news.
Well, it kind of echo what you're saying. June, we had a decent month. It wasn't a great month. The Morgan Wallen thing, I think, is what saved it. Otherwise, it would not have been prior year numbers.
Yeah.
July does not look good for any of my 3 hotels here.
No.
We likely won't even do last year numbers, let alone hitting our very ambitious budgets for July, and that's, this weekend with Coldplay, we're very busy and we've kind of protected some rooms, and have started, like yesterday, we opened up about 10 rooms at the Residence Inn just to see what we can get, or what would book in, and all 10 of them booked overnight, and 7 of the 10 were $700+ a night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I
And
had
this is the
3
Coldplay
that,
effect?
Mhm.
it's
Oh,
good
wow.
for Saturday night, the Coldplay night, I mean, 3 of them were $815 a night,
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
so so the guest scores will suck.
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do to make
Exactly.
Yeah.
This President's Inn is not worth $840. Well, I mean, you got a bet, didn't you?
But I mean, month to date, that property, those $24,000 behind last year. So, and that's 14 days in. Coldplay will definitely help minimize that or reduce that, but the rest of the month doesn't look that great. In August, September, I mean, it's really like throwing a dart at a dartboard anymore. It's hard to know what's gonna.
So this is going to be the first August in 6-7 years when we didn't have Iron Man going on at the same time as National Mustard Day. Is that correct? Or CrossFit. So I'm definitely interested to find out like how many of those participants might be staying at hotels. The
Yeah.
Fairfield opened up a room block with them. A small room block.
Iron Man?
No, for National Mustard Day.
Oh, sure.
Like if you're coming for National Mustard Day, here's a room block.
Yeah. Cool.
And we're going to do some targeted tracking on that weekend because we've never really been able to do any targeted tracking because you have CrossFit in town at the same time, which is wonderful, and we're all missing them badly. And MASC hasn't come up with something to fill that void yet.
Well, CrossFit wasn't in last year.
Thanks.
So
This is the second year.
Yeah.
they weren't here last year either.
No.
No.
I forget where they went to, but yeah, I think it was somewhere in Texas,
Yeah.
maybe.
We didn't get tracking numbers from that. So for just quickly for director's update, I think all of you by now know, Kate Miller resigned from the chamber and took a job in Georgia. And she's very excited about it, but it means we lost a commissioner. So we're looking for somebody with meeting planner experience, somebody who does that kind of thing or understands that kind of world, whether it's group tour or meeting planner, who lives in Middleton or works in Middleton. So give me any ideas you've got. I've put a few feelers out there. If we can't fill it with someone who does that kind of work, then I might open it up to another restaurant. Our ordinance, we have to have 1 dining, 1 attraction, 1 hotel. And so we have that plus a second hotel. And we have to have an older. And so the 6th person has always been the person that we kind of have a choice about. And we've always tried to get someone who had meeting planner experience. So let me know.
What about anybody from Pleasant View Golf Course? I think you might be able to make the case that they plan events, being that they're planning.
He doesn't have I'll check with Jeremy. 2 things. It is city and we already have an alder and
Gotcha.
me.
Yeah, that's true.
The second thing is I'm not sure if Jeremy has an event planner in the sense of planning events like that, because you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
they've kind of strayed away from that just because of the staffing issue of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, they're still having events, they're having Boogie Boogie tomorrow, so like, but I don't know how much of that then falls on the organization that wants to have the event.
Sure.
It is incredibly successful. My only
Yeah.
thing is that I'm not sure if we are really supposed to have a 3rd city representative on the commission.
Yeah.
But chamber wise, right now Kristen is acting director. So once they either get that filled, or I don't know if she's gonna apply and fill her position, we could go, but we could possibly go that route, but I don't know how long it's gonna take. I just looked up the job posting and it didn't have a deadline for applications. So I think they're just taking them as they come. Which I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But as long as we can get 4 people together, we can still make quorum, because even though we don't have a 6, it still counts because we have to have 6. I think it'll be perfectly fine for us to get through August without having someone, but I think by September we really need to have someone in the seat. That's all I've really got for you. The next thing would be the grant. And I'll explain what that is. So when I presented the acres grant to you guys last month, I accidentally called it a destination partnership grant, and it needs to be reallocated as a tourism marketing grant. And so I just need someone to make a motion saying that we approve the Acres USA 2025 event as a tourism marketing and development grant. If anyone wants to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, Jose. I saw his mouth move.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
There we go.
Cool.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It just matters because they're new. And so comes out of that grant fund.
Gotcha.
Okay, on to the budget. So, Laura's gonna show you the actual, oops. She's got it, 1 second. So we're gonna go through. Nope, it was a separate PDF that I sent.
It's just a different tab.
There we go, perfect. All right, so we're gonna go through this. And then I have things that are itemized if you have questions. But we'll just kind of go through. So if it's in red, it means that that's an increase from last year. Advertising, the main reason for increases, here I've got the explanations. I put a 10% increase on most of the marketing because right now we're actually, even this year, we're not seeing things go as far as they normally do. I also added $10,000 specifically for meetings, convention, group, social. So we've always just used our regular social media budget for anything that we were putting out online to try to boost a meeting planner post. And next year we're going to allocate 10 grand toward that. And we're going to talk to our marketing agency about, should we do Google Words? Should we do what should we do? But just putting some specific money behind that. I also carried over, for 2025, we allocated $60,000 for a possible project with Destinations Wisconsin for an episode, podcast, social media. It was the whole package. We haven't done this because we were almost $10,000 lower than last year in Q1. And I don't know where we are on revenue in Q2. So I was hanging back. But I don't mind starting that because with Destination Wisconsin, what you can do is you can kind of like piecemeal the projects together. So we could do some of the video this summer, fall, and pay for that and then do some things next year as well. But in 2025, for the 2025 budget, when you guys approved this, it was contingent that $60,000, if needed, would come out of our tourism fund balance and not our revenue, because it was a special project. And that would be what I propose again for 2026. Raising the brochure expense, we used to be at 40. I brought it back up to 40 because we are probably going to go out to RFP next year because we've been using the same company for 6 years, and so it's time. And increased printing just because, by $300. A lot of these things where I just added 10% to a lot of the costs. Supplies went up a bit more because the city of Middleton adopted a sustainability plan. And so we're looking for eco-friendly print, ink, paper products, all of that, and it all costs more. And so we took a shot at what we think it's going to cost and put that in there. Postage, I increased it by 10%, just because postage seems to go about 3 times a year. Communications, this is brought up because we added 2 cell phones this year. One for Maggie and one for myself, and we didn't have that actually in the budget last year, and so we stuck it back in. We went down on building and grounds because we should have the patio project done this year. Laura's already sent the contract on to the attorney, and so if he is cool with it, then we'll get our front patio repaved. Because as any of you have walked in, we've got some slopes and they have to be taken care of. Capital improvements. So we never finished the visitor center video. And we had budgeted for it and we just didn't spend that money a year ago. And so we're putting it back into the budget and we're gonna get that done next year. Let's see, those have no changes. I kept looking at utilities, and for the past 3 years, we haven't spent more than $3,500. So I added a 15% increase for inflation, and that's how I came up with dropping $3,000 from that budget. Research, I'm including $17,000 for the strategic plan because we put aside $50,000 for an organizational assessment and strategic plan. DMO Pros is going to do the org assessment. If they get done in time to do the strategic plan, we will have it finished this year. If they do not, we need to put it into the budget for next year so that they can start that in January. And they will keep it within the same amount. So there's a possibility that there'll be $17,000 that just doesn't get spent from that. But also in research, I want to say I've added, I'd really like to purchase Destination International's events, tourism, economic impact calculator. I think I said that wrong, but it basically you put in all of the data and it tells you what the impact of an event, whether it's Mustard Day or hockey. And I have been getting a lot of questions from the city lately about how certain sporting events have impacted the local economy. And it's maybe $8,000 to do all of it. And so for our budget size, so I put that in there. And we wouldn't even have to do it every year, but I was like, every 3 years or so, we should do this. The other really big item on here, but as you can see, research is going down by $22,000 because we'll be almost done with that project. A new vehicle. So I just guessed. I Googled hybrid SUV and it was like 30 to 40 some $1,000s. The Mach has received a list of approved vehicles, but we haven't been able to get a meeting because I was on vacation and then I was in Chicago and now he's on vacation. So, but the finance department told me it has to be an approved item in the budget. And what we would do is, again, if you approve this budget, it will be contingent that this would come out of our tourism fund balance, not out of our revenue. And obviously you would have to vote to approve the vehicle if we wanted to go that route. And then it would still have to go through finance and common council, but it does have to be part of the overall budget. Next, in partnerships, absolutely nothing's changing. In grants, we're keeping everything at the same number. I updated the Destination Madison payment. That is based, that's a moving number based on revenue. I based it this time on the 2024 revenue. Promotions, we're keeping the same. Contingency is the same by city mandate. Other expenses is actually our legal fees, and I kept that at $7,000. It may need to go up at some point. It all depends on what our organizational assessment determines. For instance, if it comes back that it is in everybody's best interest for us to become a nonprofit, we'll have more attorney fees as we're renegotiating our contracts and getting that all filed. If we stay a city department, then we won't have extra fees. Salaries and benefits, I have no information on this just yet because the city is undergoing a compensation study. Basically, I updated it with like a 1% raise. And hopefully we'll get a 3%. But the city is supposed to let us know what these are before the end. And this happened last year as well. We didn't know what COLA was until the city council approved it in like November. So all in all, the requested budget for 2026, oops, my thing still says 2025. Gotta fix that. There. is $1,622,210, which is a 4.2% increase from 2025. If you were to take away the 3 items that are coming out of our tourism fund balance, that would be the CXC grant, which the past 5 years, we've been able to pay out of our revenue because we haven't used all our grants. So we haven't actually touched our fund balance, but we did mandate that it could come from that. So the CXC grant, the new vehicle, and Discover Wisconsin episode altogether is $155,000. So if you were to subtract that from the budget request, and I'm using 2024 as the forecast number, hoping that in 2026 we hit 2024's numbers, then in all we don't have a budget deficit. We'll have a budget deficit of about $33,000 if all of these expenses come out of our revenue and we still hit 2024 numbers. If we take it out of our fund balance, those 3 projects, then we'll actually be over by 121. So I feel like we're still being fiscally conservative. If you guys think that 2024, so the overall revenue of 2024 was 1,588,900-ish and change. And I didn't think we needed to go as far back as 2023. I felt like we were okay, especially since we have more than $3 million in our tourism fund balance. In fact, we're almost at 30, like 3.5. And so we would be able to easily absorb any of those costs. And with marketing going up as it is, I don't want to take anything from marketing. And so the only other places we could take is obviously not get a car. Not do the Discover Wisconsin episode. So that's an easy $100,000 right there. And that would be something that we could decide after the new year when we see what our revenue for this year and kind of have a better idea of forecasting. It's hard because most tourism entities do not have to sit here in June and July and try to forecast for next year for their budget, but we were city and I have to turn this in August. And so we're doing a lot of guesswork, and that's why I lean toward the conservative side, because for the past several years, we've been putting money into our savings rather than, having to dip into it. So does anybody have questions, or do you want me to go through any of these line items and talk about like the individual things for advertising, the individual things for public relations, any questions like that?
I guess I would ask. I guess you reference COLA as it pertains to salaries. Why wouldn't you budget what would most likely be more of the COLA rate instead of just 1%?
Because when the city sent it to me, it only had 1%. And
COLA.
and I can't,
Yeah.
okay, how do I put this? Because we are a city department, we have to do what the city says. That doesn't mean that the chair of our commission couldn't email them and suggest a certain salary raise or bump or anything like that. Things like that could happen.
Wow.
But there's also a compensation study going on right now, and I have no idea where that's gonna put us. I offered to even pay for tourism to be looked at separately because the city didn't have the budget to do a compensation study on 140 different job titles. But the company that they hired was having a really hard time specifically with Laura's job. So just yesterday or today, I sent them everything I could find. Destinations International survey. One of the chamber directors in the area actually gave me Wisconsin and the region's chamber survey because there are a lot of chambers that oversee tourism. And so hopefully that will also affect where we're going on that. But yes, I tried to keep the overall increase as low as possible. I felt like 4.2% was still pretty conservative considering a car is in this budget. The current vehicle, as you guys know, we're not fully insured anymore. Because it's had too many accidents and it's too old. And the mock is mostly worried about something big breaking. They said if anything large breaks on it, it's totaled because it'll be too expensive to try to get that part. Do I think we could make it a whole nother year? Yes. But are we just kicking the can down the road? I don't know. And it also could be that we could be on back order for a year. So it's entirely up to you guys where you want to go with that. I will say, just looking at our mileage budget, we don't drive that car a whole lot right now. I take it to Destination Wisconsin meetings. You've taken it to a couple of regional trade shows that happen to be like local, as in Minneapolis. And then our conferences, and then I would say most of it is you do the most miles are probably your weekly drop-offs.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of car time on Fridays dropping everything off.
Well, and the keeping neighbors warm.
Oh yeah, and keeping
That's
neighbors
definitely
warm.
when I use it the most.
And so that's also another thing. And again, we can put it into the budget, and then when the time comes, if you guys are like, we don't think that this is a responsible financial decision at this time, then we'll just tell the city that the commission, yes, it was originally approved in the budget, but the commission does not approve the sale of the purchase of a vehicle at this time.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to keep it in there,
Yeah, I will say that when the air conditioner thing broke and the whole interior flooded and I was in Minocqua, that was an interesting experience, being out of town, trying to find someone open at 7 p.m. And it's Minocqua and no one had a shop vac, a wet dry shop vac. I was like, the whole town's on a lake.
Right.
And so anyway, right now it's serving the purposes that it needs to. There was a reason I didn't drive it to Bayfield though. I drove my own car. Because I felt more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I think, this budget, our hotel budgets, all that stuff, are gonna hinge on two main things, and it's gonna be, the economy and what's going on societally within our country, because that's what's happening right now, and we're starting to feel it now, but we're not gonna know until it happens, So I'm working on budget for the hotel for next year, as you are, and
We're just getting started, and
Yeah.
of course, this year they switched up our budgeting software too.
they just changed our whole process as well, which is fantastic, but
I mean, it'll be good in the long run. It's a great program. but
sure.
I gotta train everyone on it, including myself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then of course they're still wanting increases, even though we're flushing money out of the forecast on a weekly basis.
I haven't spoken to the city yet because the city always bases their budget in part on what our revenue forecast is.
Yeah.
Last year, they forecast a higher revenue than I did. And I tried to explain many times that we didn't have enough business in the books for me to feel comfortable with that. They accepted that. I have it in an email. Because I based this budget this year on 2023, I think it was. And so I'm going forward with 2024 for 26 in hopes that some things turn around and that I don't plan to wait until January to start the meeting and convention planning campaigns. We're going, Maggie and I are going to talk, and we're going to start trying to do some things monthly. We've kind of talked about that, but be a little bit more intentional. And then I still have some budget money left for photography, where I think I'm going to hire probably Ben to come in and do some of our facilities that we don't have updated photos for. Like, I have beautiful photos from your grand opening. Some of yours are a little outdated, need a few more, just because we've used them to death probably. And then several of our other properties, we just have nothing. But then also come and stay at our hotel, but have your graduation party or whatever. Like, we're going to sort of beef up our venue space too, to just try to get people to host the things.
Yeah.
But I've also, I haven't changed my print ad budget. which I would say it's probably 70-30. Maybe 60-40, leisure versus meetings. I've bumped up some of our meeting planner magazine ad sizes and that kind of thing. But my problem is that it's just so hard to tell if people are seeing it. If they're reading it. To get anything like that. But if there's something ever where you guys are like, we should be here, why aren't we here? Let me know. But also with some of that social stuff, doing some targeted, there is a way to do targeted geofenced posts based on people's like job titles. And it might be more a LinkedIn thing than a Facebook thing.
Sure.
But we gotta look into it a little bit more. I just knew we need some money for it.
LinkedIn ads are really expensive.
LinkedIn is crazy expensive, but it's the most likely place that we're going to find a meeting planner who actually is paying attention to an ad like that. And right now it feels like Meta is like screaming into the wind.
Also increasing their cost by
Yeah.
20%.
And it's screaming into the wind because you're paying, and we're not seeing the click-through rate.
Yeah, for sure.
On bots.
Yes. Any other questions online? So basically you can choose, if you want, you can adopt this budget as is, but we need to word it a certain way because obviously the salary thing could change. So it would be a motion to approve the proposed 2026 budget with the 3 contingent items of Discover Wisconsin episode, of new vehicle purchase, and the cross-country ski trail grant coming from the tourism fund balance if revenue in 2026 does not cover it. Luckily, this is being recorded, so I'll be able to write this down later. Also contingent on the salary and benefits changes made by the city.
I'll make a motion. For all that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kevin, okay.
Have a second?
Second,
All right, Todd, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
All right. Fantastic.
I'm sorry it has to sound so convoluted. It's
Makes
just
sense.
like, we just don't know right now. Like, I probably won't know salary and benefits till I think last year it was November when everything finally got finalized and I actually saw it. But still, no matter what it is I don't foresee it changing the budget so much
Yeah.
that we would, we're not in trouble.
It'll be able to be absorbed
Yeah.
through some other line.
And if at any time you guys have any questions about this year versus last year or percentages or whatever, I actually did it all. And so if you have specific questions about that, we can go through it. I will say Q1 2024 revenue was almost 10,000 higher than this year. I don't have the star report and I won't have revenue till next month. And so I will have the revenue report when we meet next month, but I don't know where we are right now. And so that is another reason why I had to step away from, momentarily at least, the Discover Wisconsin
it was.
episode.
Oh,
Yep, that was Cooper Sock, because we had them as well, as did you. That's why we had a decline in Q1. Cooper Sock.
Oh, that's
opening
right, their
staff and
grand
all that.
opening.
Yeah.
They had
Last
3
year.
grand openings.
Cooper
That's
a
Sock,
lot of their
we-
stuff.
we, had a solid Q2. We beat last year in Q2, but we're doing poorly this month. So July is gonna back to budget. It's not like it's, we're not making any money, but it was budgeted a little gratuitously, and we're back 350K this month to budget. So
May was brutal. I mean, and last year, May was pretty solid,
it was.
and
Which
this year
is-
it was absolutely brutal.
It has to be because of everything going on with like people not wanting to travel internationally for graduation.
Yep.
Because we were in the same boat as last year of having Epic move their event up, which freed up weekends for us,
Yeah.
which should have been wonderful.
Yeah, we had a lot of the same group in year over year, which obviously booked at a higher rate, year over year, the rates increase every year, so yeah. Our May, I think, might have been on par, April exceeded, May was pretty close, and then June we did pretty well,
June wasn't bad.
but.
So, this was my last item for next month. I will send a doodle poll so that we can pick a day, because I already know that August 15th doesn't work for everyone. Or 18th, whatever that day is. August 15th is when my budget is due, actually. We don't need to finalize the budget because we just did. We will have a visitor guide agreement, and the Q2 revenue report will be in, and hopefully I'll have some ideas for our next commissioner. But again, let me know if you have anybody. And I'd love to talk to you two for just a couple of minutes
Sure.
afterward. That's all I have.
Anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
All those in favor?
second. Aye.
Done. Have a
All
great
right.
night, guys.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone.
Reason the Sunday morning. Spotlight